Have you ever wanted to know which objects can interact with a single blast of light and how we can represent this using a space-time graph? Well, I know I have. Well, we're going to tell you this in this episode of The Blind Leading the Blind, where we try to teach people things while not even having a high school education. The quick answer to the question we had before was that we can use light cones to try to figure out what objects can interact with our single blast of light and how it travels through space. However, we're going to overcomplicate things because why not? However, before we get into the good stuff, we have to go through hell itself, the history aspect. First, we need to talk about, before the light cone idea even started, we need to go back to the 17th century where Newton's physics became a thing in the laws of Newton's physics. It was believed that time and space were completely independent from each other. In other terms, it doesn't matter how strong the gravitational pull is for one object or how fast one object is going. Everything has universal time. However, in the 1900s, Isaac came along and wrecked the whole entire idea of space and time being separate. Instead, he made them dependent on each other in something called space-time. So the very summarized idea of space-time, you guys probably all heard this explanation. I'm just going to repeat it because it's the easiest one out there. And it's the first one that showed up in Google. Anyways, so imagine a piece of cloth. When objects that have mass get dropped into the cloth, it bends the fabric. The bending of the fabric is the gravitational pull of the object. The higher the gravitational pull, the slower time is perceived for the outside observer. The same goes for someone who is in a higher gravitational pull. They would perceive the places with lesser gravitational pull with time moving faster for the outsiders. Now that we're finally free of the worst subject ever, history, we can finally get into the good stuff, aka how we graph a light cone. So basically, light cones exist in
Minkowski
space time. You might be wondering, what is
Minkowski
space time? Well,
Minkowski
space time is just another way of describing space time. Instead of treating space and time separately, they are combined into one four-dimensional structure called space-time. The four coordinates are x. CT is just the speed of light times time. It basically just makes it possible to measure time, so it has the same physical dimensions as space. And Z's depth. Together, these coordinates describe every event in the universe. The point of zero, the origin, is usually where we put like CT, X, Y, and Z, made all those coordinates equal 0. That's what people often do. Z coordinate is supposed to simulate the experience of a 3D plane we live in, but for simplicity, and also because I suck at drawing in 3D in Canva, we are removing it, so we're just going to be demonstrating a 2D plane that moves through time. Well, it's like kind of less realistic, but it's what you gotta do sometimes when you're lazy. Okay, now it's actually time to graph the light cone. So just imagine that we set off a light grenade somewhere in space, and we're making that point in space on the graph the origin, and we're labeling that with P. Since everything in the universe has a world line, a world line is basically just shows where an object is going to go and where it has been. A world line can be warped by like gravity if the object gets hit by something. However, since ours is just light, and we're going to just like say that gravity's not getting warped that much, it's just going to be a straight line represented by the red arrow. As you can see here right now, we have 4 other new lines. These represent the expansion of the light through time. As you can see, when in the past, or you can say when CT was negative, it seemed to shrink as it got positive. But when we hit the origin point and time began to be positive, CT became positive, it expanded through space. You may have remembered from earlier, the reason why we use light cones is to see the causes of an event or effects of the event. As you can see here, object A could have maybe affected the event in the past, causing to its end or something like that. D could have caused the effect. B cannot cause nor affect the event since it's outside of its light cone. And C can be affected by the event since it's inside of the light cone. Okay, ready for a fun fact? Your light cone can be affected by the gravitational pull. If it's near a high gravitational pull area, it would get pulled towards that object. So instead of your CT being at a perfect 90-degree angle, it slowly turns towards the higher gravitational pull area, meaning your direction through time and space can only really go forward towards that higher gravitational area. We can apply this to black holes through the saying of like, you know, when people say it's like, oh, light can't travel past the event horizon. Well, the reasoning because of that is because the CT part of the diagram has turned fully towards the black hole, so now you're only able to travel to that black hole now through time and space. Anyways, that's the end of it now. Thank you for watching, and by the way, my resources is in the description, so check those out. Bye.